Hi guys, my name is Victor. Welcome to Blockforge. And in today's tutorial, we'll be talking about functions generally. And functions are very important when we come to blockchain technology and how to use blockchain technology in Rust programming language. Functions are very vital. And so, as much as possible, stay tuned throughout this video. And a very quick advice: do well to actually rewatch the video again and again to actually assimilate all that have been taught and go through the previous projects we built and actually try to see how you can implement what we've been talking about all this while in that video without actually looking at the video. It's actually a good practice, and also try to explore other projects generally. Okay, see you guys in the video. Okay guys, so today we'll be talking about functions, and basically this is a very simple setup where what we just did was just our normal cargo new, and the name of our folder in our case is a function. And why we choose this name is because it's relative to what we are going to be doing or the contents that will be in our folder. And so it's a good practice to actually try as much as possible to name your function, sorry, name your folder actually related to what the content is for easy identification. Okay, so that makes it actually you can name it anything. And so this is my source file, and this is where we'll be heading to. And today, as you all know, we'll be talking about functions, and yeah, basically we're talking about functions and everything about function, and it will be a swift journey. Okay, so what we just do basically is to wipe this. Okay, first thing to understand is that we've been dealing about function throughout this course. Okay, function, because Rust deals with function a lot. I mean, function is the entry point of Rust, and so it's actually a vital topic to deal with. Okay, so personally, we start by actually let's just clean up this to just start everything from scratch. So what are functions basically? Okay, functions are reusable blocks of code that perform specific tasks. Okay, instead of writing the same logic multiple times, okay, you define a function once and call it whenever and wherever you want. Okay, there are two key roles function plays in our code, and one of them is organization, and the second of them is how our work looks like. And so if you're talking about organization, we're talking about for instance, when a teacher is preparing a note, simplifying a topic to teach the audience his or her class. Okay, in our case now, function helps us to simplify our code into understandable piece. Okay, imagine that you're writing logic in each of your code. Like, it will be really clustered, and it will be confusing. And if you come maybe let's say 3 months later to look at your code, believe me, you can get confused or you get frustrated. Okay, and so the role of function actually generally is to organize our code. And also, when you're talking about the work wise, okay, it helps you not to write that logic every time you want to run a specific command. You can just write that function once and call it anywhere you want. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. So we just do fn. What function will I just call now? Let's say hey you. Okay, and so this is a basic syntax for writing function in Rust. Okay, fn and the name of your function with parentheses and a curly bracket. Okay, but this naming convention is actually a snake case, lowercase naming convention, all lowercase. And if you're joining two words together, you have to use an underscore like I did here, okay, to identify your function name. Okay, and after that you have a parenthesis here, then this curly bracket. And so what this curly bracket does is to tell the compiler where your logic starts and where it ends. Okay, so it's like an identifier of this is what this means, this is what this block of stuff is doing. It's not doing anything above that. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So Can you explain our definition of how Rust function helps to organize and simplify our work? So I'll just write a simple code. I'll just print ln. So let me just open my terminal at once. Oops, I've covered my screen. So let me just go down. So print ln. So what I'll do is just to hello, welcome to Block Forge. Please subscribe. Okay, so I'm just telling you to subscribe. So this is a simple code. Okay, this is a function. I've written a function. So this is a simple logic. Okay, what I'm just saying here, doing here is just to print out this piece of code on our screen. So I'm printing out this piece of code on our screen. So this is a simple function, and basically what I need to do is to call this function. So what we do is to just do fn main, then curly brackets and this, then we call this function here to do hey underscore this, then we are good to go. So this is basically calling, this is how we call a function. So instead of writing this piece of code each time we want to call it, we just have to just store it in a function and just call this anywhere we want in our application, and it will run as good as we want it. Okay, and so that's the beauty of function. That's the role of function in our code, and that's what the beauty looks like. I know this is very very simple, and it might not look like something huge now, but believe me, if you're writing a very big application or you're running a very big program, actually function comes in handy. Okay, and when you're talking about blockchain technology, function will play a lot of role. Okay, so don't worry, we'll get into blockchain technology. I don't want to spoil the surprise, but we'll get into that. But this is a journey we are taking together, and please pay attention to all the details. It's quite much more important. And so this function, as you can see, as I said before, fn main is an entry point in Rust. But Rust doesn't really care how you place your functions, actually, provided that this man here is always present. So this can confess, this can confess. Rust doesn't, the compiler doesn't really care how you arrange your function, actually. Okay, I hope that makes sense. It's just basically any way you want to arrange it, just make sure that your syntax are correct. That's just the major thing we are looking for. You want your syntax to be correct, and we are good to go. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And so you can think about function as a music list, calling a function as a music playlist, where instead of always tapping your screen to play music always, what you just have to do is to create a music list, put in your favorite songs there, and just click the play button, and all your favorite songs will be playing according to how you want it to play. And so that's how calling a function looks like. Okay, and maybe you can liken it as maybe you're turning on the switch, turning switch on and turning switch off. You're calling a function. You want this to do something. You want, if you turn your light on, the light should show. If you turn it off, area should be dark, or the bulb should also go up. Okay, so that's what calling a function looks like. And now let's talk about something else in function. So we talk about statements. Okay, so let's talk about statements. Statements and expression. These are very very vital subtopics in function that is very very necessary. Statement and expression. So what are statements? Okay, statement is like placing an order. Okay, it's like giving an instruction. When you're talking about statement, it's like you're giving an instruction for something to be done. Okay, like you're not expecting anything. So let's say that you just chatted somebody up and say hey. That hey is just hey, like you're really not expecting anything. You're not expecting that person to respond back, because there is no information, there is nothing that you're telling the person to do back. Okay, other like you're saying how are you, you're expecting something back. Okay, but if you're saying hey, I'm not really expecting you to say anything back to me, or you're saying okay to a statement, That means you're not I'm not you're telling me, okay, I'm not really expecting anything back from you to respond to me. Okay, that's like you're just stating a fact, or you're giving a state of instruction, or you're making a statement or placing all that, nothing in return. Okay, that's what statements looks like. And we just write some code to explain it. Fn, and let's say print underscore message. Okay, our parentheses must be there and our curly bracket must be there, and we just say let is a keyword, a variable keyword that allow us to actually write a variable. And I forgot to explain what this fn means. Fn is actually a keyword in Rust that allows us to declare a function. So without this fn, you can't really declare a function in Rust. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so what we'll do now is very simple. We now declare, we just create a variable, we just say message. Oops, I didn't spell that message well. Message equal to hope hope you have subscribed. Still reminding you to subscribe again. Okay, so so this is our message now, and this is throwing actually a squiggly line because we are not calling it anywhere, and we are not using the variable anywhere. That's why this squiggly line are showing up, but we soon use it. And so this in Rust is a statement. So this is a statement. You're telling this variable to store this value for you. Okay, you're telling this variable to store this value for you, but you're not expecting anything to be returned. Okay, and if you print l, and if you're printing anything on the screen, we are just printing the stored value. We are not really expecting anything in return. We are giving out what we have. It's not like we are actually giving a new value per se. So this is just storing this value, but it's not returning anything. So this is what statement looks like. And if I do print ln, okay, so I just say, just put this on, and this, and still ask if you just call this message and go up here and call this function. So inside here it doesn't really matter how you place your call function. So the way you place it in the main is how it is going to run. So if this comes first, this will run first before the other one, but I want to place this at the top, this print underscore message. So this will run first before this. Okay, so let's do our cargo run. So this is it. So this is it. Let's just give it a while. So now the first one, this is our second function that we are talking about, statements, and this is our first one of explaining how to organize how calling functions works. So it's saying hope you subscribe, and this one was welcoming all of us to Blockforge and asking us to subscribe. So this is just how statements work. Statement is not really returning any value. It's not returning any new value. It's not returning any value. It's just this is what was stored there, and it's giving it out like that rawly. Okay, I hope that actually explains what statement are. And also, looking at statement, think about it as sending a message. Actually, I've actually talked about that. And also, you can think about it as writing a to-do list, where you just list a group of things you will be doing in a day. You're not really expecting anything in return. Okay, you're just stating a fact. These are statements. Okay, these are statements of things you will do. Like, they are really statements. They are nothing much. Okay, so now statements actually have this ending curly brackets. I'm sorry, this semicolon. So this what comes with statements basically. Okay, they have this semicolon attached to them. That's like this your in your basic English language, where you just put full stops. We are not expecting anything. This is where this thing ends. I hope that makes sense. I hope it does. So talking about functions, expressions. So expressions does something, okay, and returns value. So while statement does not return new value, they're just a fact. You're stating something. Expressions actually return value. They return something. They actually return value. Let's just try some code to explain this. We just do fn get underscore number. parentheses and our curly brackets, and what we just write here is 10. Now we put this here, or let's just leave this. So now this is actually don't worry, I will talk about well, let's just add it. Okay, let's just add it for clarity's sake. I32. So though we still talk about it in a few minutes. Now this is a simple expression. Expression doesn't really have a closing a semicolon, and also this is a basic expression. So what this is saying is that we want you to return this value for us. Okay, so this is returning something. It's not actually storing something. It's not a stagnant input. We are really asking this input to return something. So it's like asking someone, maybe a stranger or a friend, to actually give you his or her Wi-Fi password. That's an expression, because you're expecting something in return actually. So when that your friend is calling your password, the Wi-Fi password to you, there is a value that is being returned. Okay, and that's a simple expression. Or you're solving a mathematical problem where you might say 2 plus 2, stuff like that. That's a basic expression. Okay, so expressions return something, while statements actually store value. They're just there. Okay, they are just stagnant at there. I hope that really explain what they are, but I'll still call this function here. Let's see if I call it here and see what happened. Okay, let's see if we buy into any error or not. Let me save this. So cargo run. So it's saying welcome. This is what it's citing here. Welcome to subscribe. Please subscribe and hope you subscribe. And we are not seeing our return value. Guess why? Because we have not printed out the micro. We've not called the micro yet, and that's why nothing is showing on our terminal. So what we want to do is just to store this value equal. We want to store this in a variable. So what this line of code is saying is just simple. We want you to store any value that will be inside of this, that this is calling in this variable. That's simply what it's saying. So any variable, so we've written a logic, any outcome of that logic, okay, we want it to be stored in this variable. So in our logic now, it's just this simple thing. Calm down. Okay, this is just to help you understand how functions work, but in real world, this is not a logic. This is just a kind of example. Okay, in real world, you can see logic that have thousands of lines, hundreds of lines, fifties of lines of code in a particular function. Okay, and so that's where it is complex. So we are just telling this to just store this. Please just store this. Any outcome of this logic, I want you to be stored in this variable called none. So what we just do is to print ln, print ln, and just put that there and just write the num. Okay, so let's see how that goes. Cargo run, and so it's saying hope you have subscribed, and this is our 10 here. Okay, so these are 10 here have been called, and so really doesn't really matter actually how you place your function or how you call them, but the fact is that you have to follow the normal ROS syntax. okay, for you to call functions. Okay, so having explained what expressions and statements are, remember key notes to just take out from this, from expressions, and also what else I want us to be aware is that you cannot really understand everything at a glance or once. The mind can be confusing at sometimes, but try to go back to these videos and watch them, okay, for you to get the grasp of it. Okay, so now this actually, okay, is an expression, and I say that expression returns value, okay, they return something, why function, why statement does not return anything. But in a in a statement you can find an expression in it, okay, just understand that, okay, that's as basic as it is, just basic something. Okay, I hope you guys really understood this, and I'll try as much as possible in the coming projects to lay emphasis on functions again, so that we can actually the projects that will be coming soon will be much more of functions, okay, so that we get a grasp of what functions are and how they works in real time. Okay, so now let's talk about parameters. Parameters and arguments in ROS. Parameters and arguments in ROS. Okay, so parameters and arguments in ROS work together when calling a function. Okay, and imagine you're in a restaurant and you order a meal. Okay, and so let's say that the menu represents a function. The menu that was given to you represents a function, and it lists different meals you can order and those amazing stuff. Okay, the meal option are the parameters. That's the list of meal that can be choose are the parameters. A placeholder where those meals, those list of meals are stored. Okay, and also when you place an order that you want this specific meal, that is actually an argument. That's what an argument looks like. Okay, so now you're specifying a particular meal that you are looking for. Remember, you are given a menu, and the options of meals that we have available are parameters, while you placing a specific order to a particular meal is like an argument. Okay, so an example, the waiter asks, what do you want? Like, what do you want, sir? And this is like defining a function with a parameter. What do you want? And you say, I want a burger. So this is like you're passing an argument to this function. And don't worry, we write some code to explain this. So I'm trying to just give us an illustration of what an argument looks like generally. Okay, so let's just write some code to explain it. So let's just write fun order underscore food. Then we want to pass a parameter here, which is food, and a string, and a string. And now in parameters, there are two things to note. First of all, the way we have data types and variable name in a variable, that's how we have a variable name and a data type annotation inside parameters. Okay, and so this is what a parameter, so this is what, come on, so this is what parameters are. Okay, parameters are the content inside of the parentheses of a function. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Now, oops, let me just, so I want to print out something. Print ln, you ordered a food. Cargo run. Let me call this. Okay, just clean up this. First of all, I just want to make something clear. I really don't actually buy the idea of kind of um leaving codes on a GitHub repo so that maybe you can come and you can download it and maybe run code with it. It is really really lazy for me. And so I won't really say or assure you that I will drop my GitHub repo here, maybe for us, maybe for you to um have some fun and copy or download it and do something with this code. I won't really assure you that, unless for some reason maybe I've written some projects and we are doing part two of the project. I can really give out maybe a GitHub repo where you can download this project. But personally, I don't like the idea. Okay, it's kind of builds laziness, and it doesn't build confidence at all, where you can't really write your code yourself. You go to the GitHub, download it and start just going through it with your eyes. It's not fun for me. So basically what I would advise you is, as I'm coding along, try as much as possible to code along with me, and also pay close attention. Okay, I'm not dropping it in my GitHub repo for you guys. Okay, there is nothing attached, but just that it builds laziness generally. Personally, it builds laziness. And so, but as I said earlier, what will make me to do so when I brought a project live like this is only when there is maybe a second part of this project that I feel like, or I'm on a live section, I feel like I need to share the GitHub repo. Okay, but on a normal, I can't really share my GitHub repo. So if it's best for you, you code along and learn together. Okay, that's just the best way. So our goal is to build developers that are really that can challenge projects and also build great resources out there without having fear of anything. And so if you're fearful to write code or it's looking stressful, it's fine. But as much as possible, try to code along. But I'm not sharing any GitHub repo. Why I say that was I wanted to tell us to maybe that this code that I'm commenting now to be in the GitHub repo for you. But I promise you, I'm not giving it out. I'm not giving it out. What you just do best is just to code along, as I said earlier, and have fun together with me. Okay, that's the best you can do, and that's the best I can do for you. Okay, hope that makes sense. I hope you're happy with that. Okay, so what we want to do is just to call this food. No, you're not calling this food here. You just to call this food. And now remember, remember, now you have placed an order. So you are given a menu. So let's say that this food is a menu. Okay, is a menu that contains the list of options you need to choose. Let me change it to menu that contains the list of option of food that you need. Okay, and so and now you now placed an order from the menu. You now placed an order. Now this options, the options in the menu are like parameters in functions, where the argument is the actual value, the actual specific food you chose. So let's say you choose burger, and so burger is part of the menu, and you said, okay, I really need burger, I want to eat burger, and I think burger is what you guys have here, and I would like to have some burger. Okay, so what personally I will have to do is just to go ahead and get burger for you. Okay, because you've ordered a burger. So I just do cargo run and you order the burger. And so the technically speaking, parameters are being expressed here. Parameters have been expressed here in the function itself. While calling that function, that's where arguments are being expressed. So that's the difference between parameters and argument specifically. Okay, that's the difference between parameters and argument, and sometimes they are used interchangeably, but there is actually a difference between them, where arguments are the actual value, where the parameters are actually a bunch of options, okay, or a variable. A variable name is a variable that is storing some values that, but you need to choose one. I'm using the menu we gave as an illustration to actually throw more light on it so that you can understand it. Okay, so the output is you ordered a burger. I hope that makes sense. So we have types of function parameters, errors. Okay, so I'll just comment this out so that we not have a clustered, what's it called, you don't have a clustered, oops, so that we don't have a clustered console log. Okay. I wasn't intending to do such. So okay, so we have types of function parameters. Okay, we have single parameters, we have multiple parameters. So when you're talking about single parameters, we've talked about it already, and the example we gave about this food menu is example of a single parameter. Okay, a function with one parameter, that's what a single parameter is. And it's similar to a coffee shop asking you prefer coffee sizes. Okay, do you prefer this size of coffee or this size of coffee? Okay, it's really kind of this, you want this, but now it's now based on the size of what you're looking for. Okay, but it's a specific something you're looking for, is one. But now, what size of coffee are you looking for? Okay, I hope that actually explains what function or single parameters are. But let me have some code to explain. So let's say coffee, with parentheses, curly brackets, and now you want to order a coffee, and you say size. So what size of coffee are we looking at here? And sizes can be anything. It can be strings, it can be numbers. Okay, but in our case we want to use strings here. Okay, sometimes you might say, okay, I need three sizes. That's where we talk about multiple parameters, but here I just want a single size of coffee box, a single size of maybe a pair of shoe size 12, maybe a t-shirt like this. I just want, maybe let's say extra large or large. I just, this is what I want. Okay, this is just what I want. It's just a single parameter. I want a single size, or one size, or two size. um let's just write some code to explain this string. Don't worry about this string, reference string. We explain it in the coming videos. Okay, I'll just print ln. Oops, messing this up. Print ln, you ordered a coffee, a coffee, ordered a coffee, ordered a, why am I messing this up? For crying out loud. Ordered a, you ordered a something, as maybe you ordered a large coffee or a small coffee, and the size is, why am I messing this up? Am I messing this up? A large coffee. Okay, and you're talking about sizes here. And remember, what you be putting down here is this parameter that will go here, is not this function name. Remember, if it's a variable, is a variable name that will come down to this place and nothing else. And so remember, we said that function parameters have a variable name and a data type, the same way we have in let me just use, let's num with the data type I32 equal 6. Now this is a bit, I can cut this off and paste it on this place, and it's still the same thing. So this is a basic parameter syntax that must have a name, a value, and the data type. Okay, a value storage and the data type. The same way this is a value storage for this and the data type. I hope that makes sense for clarity's sake. Okay, so now this is what we'll do. We just close this up and call this function here. We have to call it coffee, and the size we want is large cups coffee. We have to put it in a like semicolon. Sorry, is it a semicolon? What's this? Quotation mark. You have to put it in the quotation mark and run this and say you ordered a large. Oops, you ordered a large coffee. So this is it here. You ordered a large coffee, and if you're talking about a single parameter, it's just a parameter that has one value container and one data type. Okay, and when we are talking about multiple parameters, that's when we be talking about let's say you want to buy coffee for, or you want to place an order. Let's change this to underscore order. You want to order coffee for yourself, for maybe your colleague or your friend or anybody at all. You want to order coffee for them, so this is what you do. Just have to oops, why is this thing coming up? Oh, so what you have to do is just simple. Oops. So this is what you do. Now we have a single size, and let's say we want another size also. So you cannot have the same what's it called, the same variable name for, let's say you can't have two variable names in a parameter, the same variable names in a parameter. What I mean is this size and this size, to actually throw an error. So let's say we want to study it with size 1, and the data type will still be string data type. And you can go on and on like this. Say let's say your two friends order, one order for extra large, one order for small, one order for medium, one order for um baby size. I don't know if there is anything like that. So what you have to do here is just to come here and add the value. So this is now parameters, and these are arguments, because arguments are values from that is being used when you're calling a function. So now let's say small or medium medium size. This is throwing an error because we changed the name of our function to order, and so and we are good to go. So if you run this function, it should actually run well. And this is showing an error because it has not been called. And so we have two more things to do, which is to call this and add a placeholder for it. And so what we will do is just to size 1. I've called this here. So we ordered a coffee size and also this coffee size. So this is how it was. So there must be two placeholders for this, and the variable names must be in this order. So if you place this first, this will run first before the normal size. Size 1 will come first before the normal size, and it doesn't really matter actually. And so you ordered a large coffee and also a medium coffee, and you are good to go. So this is basically what multiple parameters look like when you're talking about multiple parameters in Rust language. And so the takeaway here is that what you have to take notes in here is the syntax. You have to have a variable name and a data type when you're talking about parameters. And you're talking about arguments. Arguments are values that are being called here. Okay, it's like writing this let num equal 6. Okay, so now this is the data type. Don't mind this, we are not calling this anywhere, that's why it's showing this error. Now this is the data type 32. I can explicitly add this, but Ross have already done that for me, which I don't really mind. Now this is data type. Okay, now this is the data type. This data type is like this variable name and the data type, and the value is stored here. It's stored inside of this called function. So anytime you're calling the function, you must add the value if there is actually a what's it called, if there's actually a parameter inside of it. Another thing to talk about parameters is that Rust doesn't actually support default function parameters. Okay, but you can use the option T to handle cases where parameters might be missing. Okay, let me explain what I mean by that. Say fn greet. Okay, I think I'll just take this up and comment this out. I'll still comment this out. So greet, and we pass a parameter name, and now as you said before, Rust doesn't support default function parameters. Okay, where languages like JavaScript there can be, but in Rust there is none. But there is a way to go about it. There you put this option T, and this T can be actually anything, can be any data type actually. So in our case, I want to add a string data type. It can be a number data type, can be a boolean, any data type at all. Then just do something we've actually coded before, but we've not talked about it, which we'll still talk about, which is match name. Follow along. Match name some n, some n print ln hello n, okay, comma, then none we have the same print ln. I put ln with hello guess. So this is just simply saying that if there is a name inside it, okay, you print out the name. Okay, if the if the user has a name, print out the name. And this can come in handy when maybe you're trying to register, you don't really want to register in this website, or you just want to come in as a guest or any stuff at all. This can work very, very well, and it gives the flexibility of handling user and actually having different options. Okay, and having your own will to actually want to and don't want to. Okay, so this is basically telling you, if you imputed your name, okay, we print out your name, but if you don't impute your name, we will just print this out as a guess. That's when Rust helps us handle default options, default values are, you didn't put any, there's a parameter but there is no specific value in it. Okay, that's what default parameter values are actually. Basically, that's what they are. Okay, and so this is what we want to do. We want to print this out and see what will happen. So So just do what's the name, greet. Now remember, this on a normal, this is how we should call this and it should work. How are we going to go about it? So this is what we do in our main. We say sum, and the sum is capital S, sum, and we do something. When we say, let's say my name is Victor, we say Victor, and we close this. Now this is me passing an argument here. Okay, this is me passing an argument here, and you now say greet none, it's none, and this is actually now a default behavior. So now you're giving the compiler an option. Now as if you remember, if I command this out, this will work. Reason being that is like using an if statement. Okay, if you match this, the variable, with one of these. So what this match does is like is an instruction executor. Okay, so if you take the value that was being provided and the value contains a name, print out this. And if there is no name contained in this, if there is no value contained in this name, print out hello guest. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Now what we want to do is just to do let's say cargo run. I saying hello Victor, and let's just uncomment this and comment this and see what will happen. Okay, and so you say hello guys, and also if you open these both, uncomment these both, and do cargo run, both of them should run very very well. Hello Victor, hello guys. And this is how to handle default parameters when you're talking about parameter defaults, okay, in function. Yeah, I hope that really makes sense when you're talking about parameters. Remember, this is the syntax. Anything can go inside of this place. Any variable can really go inside of this place. Data type can go inside of this place, depending on what the value, the output you're looking forward for. Okay, I hope that really actually makes sense. Okay, I'll just comment this out, and I'll still comment this out. Then another thing we want to talk about is returning values from a function. So, and this is actually very very important, how to return values from a function. Okay, returning values from a function. Returning values from a function. So how does it work? Say that you imputed something, you wrote a logic, and it should return something for you. Now it's like putting something in a vending machine, or putting a coin in a vending machine, or a vending machine that is returning a snacks for you. So that is, it's actually undergoing a process. There is a function going on to the end that it will return something for you. Okay. Let's write some code to explain what you're talking about. Number on add underscore number, and you add our parameters I32, D I32, and remember parameters has a variable name and a data type annotation, and I32, and you're doing A plus B. Oops, A plus B. Okay, so now when you're talking about return value, this is what we mean. We are saying that this whole logic, so even if this logic has more than 50 lines of code, we are saying that this function must return an integer value. Okay, it can't return a number. So if you add string here, it will really throw an error. It will really throw an error, because what the compiler is expecting to return is a number. And so no matter what you are doing, it should return a number, not actually something else, not a string, not a boolean, not a character type, just an integer, not an unsigned integer, just an integer whole number, and not a floating point. Okay, and if you want a floating point, we will actually specify that here, that okay, you really want a floating point and not an integer. So what we are saying here is that at the end of the value here must return an integer, and this integer can be positive or negative. We talked about it before, right? It can be positive or negative. So what we want to do is just to call this function up here and see how it goes. Okay, so you just want to store this value in a variable. We say sum equal add underscore number, or that's the name. Then what you want to do is to store the value, which are the arguments. Okay, 5 and 7. What you want to do is just store the value, which are the argument 5 and 7. And so we have an argument here and we have a parameter here. I just close this variable, and you want to just call this variable, and you're good to go. You just print out this variable. Remember, we are calling this function here, and nothing is changing. Actually, there's nothing changing in this code. The only thing that is happening here is that we are just saying that we want to store all of this value inside of this variable. So you want this variable to contain all the value that will be returned from this place. Okay, so the value that will be returned is, if you add this 5 plus this 7, that's a plus b. The value will be stored here, and the value that will be stored there is what we want to really print out. And so we just say the sum is sum, just a simple stuff. And if you do cargo run, I say the sum is 12. Sorry, so 5 plus 7 will give you 12. And so when we are talking about returning value, we are saying that this is not returning something else than an integer. We are not saying that you should return a number, an unsigned number, or a signed number. This is a specific expression, a specific function that should return a specific value, and this is actually, it helps in readability. And so if I'm looking at this code, I know that everything that will be returned here should be a number, because I'm seeing a return value here. Okay, and so this is self-explanatory. If you're looking at the code, I know that, okay, what this should return is actually a number and nothing else. Okay, and it helps also in debugging, and actually it will reduce error handling and stuff like that, running into so many bugs and the rest of them. Okay, and remember, this can be any data type. Okay, any data type can be here. What you have, what Ross is concerned about is the syntax. How you actually arrange your syntax is really vital for Rust language. It's really important. And also, this can handle actually multiple variables. Okay, it can handle multiple returns. Excuse me. It can handle multiple returns. Okay, it can handle more than one return. Like this is how to actually write this return value. Add multiple data type. I want it to return more than one data type. Add 32, and you're good to go. So you're specifying the actual data types that are being stored here. Okay, explicitly adding. Okay, so you want this to return 2, and this is for safety purposes. You want this to return 2 numbers, and these 2 numbers are this and this. So now let's see if we run into an error with this. Obviously we run into an error. Why will we run into an error? Because there's an addition here. So the compiler is not expecting one single number, one single value. Is expecting 2 different values actually. And so we shouldn't really what's it called we should really add these values together, unless you want to run into an error. So the best practice is just to add a curly bracket and do a and b, and see how that goes, and see if we'll still run into an error or not. And so remember, this is a value that is being stored. And so what we'll do is just very simple. Okay, remember, this is stored. What we talked about is a function that is returning one single value. Okay, which in our case was only this. and we just store this value in a sum here and just finish up the rest of the write-ups. So what you want to do is very, very basic. I hope you just follow along. Okay, follow along. It's not something scary. So this is what you want to do. So you just want to do because now the since the variables since data types are different, so we are expecting two value outcomes. Okay, remember the first one, we are expecting one single value to be returned. Now you're expecting two different values to be returned, and for that case we shouldn't have actually one variable here. That will actually throw a very big error. So just do simple variable y and z. Okay, and this should do. So what we'll do, remember, if you're having this, we should also have placeholders for all of these. Okay, you should have placeholders that will actually help us store these values, y and z, and this should play the game. So let me reiterate. Now basically this has two different returns, and the compiler knows already that we are returning two values. Remember, first one, we are returning only one value. We are just adding two numbers together to return one value, and that's an expression. And in this case we are returning two values here, and that's why we needed to add these two variable here. Okay, we need to add these two variable here and also add the variables here and the placeholders here also. So assuming we added this, we run into an error because the compiler is expecting two values. So now this is actually, it helps to actually restrict errors. Okay, maybe you really wanted to return two values and you just added only one I32 here to be returned. That means you're telling the compiler that, okay, I'm expecting only one value to be returned, and at the end of the day you end up running into errors. Because now if if you're expecting to return two value and you just add this only, this is what will happen, and you'll be debugging a lot of things, especially if you have a very bunch code to actually debug through. It's actually stressful, and that's why ROS is safe. Actually, it's safe to write with because it helps you reduce the risk of disturbing yourself with so many error handling, debugging so many code and stuff like that. And that's why I really love the language. So now think about this as let's say you're exchanging money. Okay, if you have dollars and swipe for euros, okay, you get two different values. Okay, you have dollars and you want to swap it for euros. So now the output should be two. I have dollars and I want to swap it for euros. Now I am the one that is doing the that have the dollar, and the other person is the one that is actually giving me the euros. So now there are two values that will go on. I'm giving out this value to this person, and this person is giving out this value to me. And so we are having two products already. Okay. So this value will be going to this person, this euro will be going to this person, and this dollar will be going to this person. And I won't be the only one holding the value, only me. We are two here already now. There are two individuals here. And so this is what this piece of code is trying to explain here. Okay, I hope that really makes sense. This captures what's having multiple return values. So these multiple return values, and we talked about the single return values, and what you should take note about this return value is this simple syntax here, and you can actually add any kind of data type on it. And now for this we can really change this to let's say a string type, a string, and now this is expecting a string and not a number. Okay, and so this I32 now is, and this is according to how the parameters are. So you cannot really first of all, you cannot really have this here now, this data type here, this return value here, and maybe be expecting it to be here. So it's actually systematic. It's arranged the way your parameters are. That's how it is being arranged. So what you want to do now is just to change this to the same string data type for peace to reign, because we don't want problem with our dear compiler. And so it's showing, as you can see, it's just showing error on this 7 because this 7 is not making sense to him anymore. We want a value. It's like you're exchanging your maybe you wrote a letter to somebody and you're exchanging it with money. So you're giving this letter to this person and this person is giving you money in return. Okay, these are just like your values. This value is for this person and this value for this person. It's separate individuals that have different returns. I'm giving out this thing in exchange of this, and I'm giving out this in exchange of this. It's just like a swapping or a trade market. I hope that makes sense. So what I will do here is just to change this to yeah, a string. Obviously, I will say subscribe. I hope you've done that already. I just want to remind others that haven't done that. And so if I do cargo run, you should really print successfully because these are two individuals actually. Rust is actually a cool language. These are two individuals here, and these are two individuals here. And if I try to add these two, that will be a huge error that will break out because we are not what we are doing, the outputs we are giving out are not the same one, and the return value we are expecting to return different things, not one person to have it, like the addition where we use only I32. I hope that really makes sense. I hope it does. Now, another thing we want to talk about here is from mutable parameters. And mutable parameters allows modification of function, and this is what we are talking about. I think when the first project we viewed, we talked about it. Okay, Rust by default doesn't allow us to modify parameters, okay, inside of a function. Okay, but there is a way we go about it where we introduce mute. Remember, mute allows us to modify functions and modify variables. Remember, we talked about it in our project. Mutation, and we've talked about it actually in previous lessons. Okay, mutation allows to actually be able to generally modify a variable, and we want to learn how it helps us to actually modify functions inside of a parameter. But by default you cannot modify parameters actually. So this is how it goes. Say double, just say something, double double value. First of all, the same way we write it in a variable where the mute, we have the let, and the mute comes first before. This is how we write it in a variable, a simple variable. Say let mute name, data type, let's say string, string, and Victor. That's my name. And so now this is how it works in normal. Now I have the power to modify this name to another name, okay, but by default it doesn't come with trust. So this is how this works. I can easily just copy this like this, okay, Control X and paste it here. Okay, and now this is how the syntax of mutability comes in. The name of the mute comes first before the name of the variable, the parameter, and the data annotation, and the data type annotation of the variable or the parameter comes in place. I call this variable actually, I don't know, it helps me understand it much more easier because they work the same way. So this is the data annotation, and that's really how it works. Personally, that's how it works. And also, how do we call this? How does it work? How can we really modify this strange stuff? Okay, so we just write a simple code to modify it. Just say num, or let's say name. Yeah, since you're using name, let's say name, or name times equal to name equals um um mercy mercy, and just say name. Oops. So we just add this here. What we just do is add this here. We want this to return only a string. There is nothing else that it should be returning, only a string. Just want this to return a string, and that's final for us. We don't want any other thing. We just want a string only to be returned here, and we don't want any other value to be returned, only strings. and I'm good with that. I just want strings to be returned. I don't want any other value to be returned in this case. So what I'll just do is names, and just add names here and add names here. So how will we go about it? So why this is showing squiggly lines, because we are not using it here and we are not using this here. So what will we do is to go to the main and paste it here, and this is where it can be safe. Okay, so I just do cargo run and see what prints out. So this says that new name is Messi. So we are able to modify the name. So assuming that there is no we didn't add. So let me what I will just do is to do this. I'll just remove this mute. I'll remove this mute and um remove this and remove this. So I'll just remove those, and I just want to show us that it would have returned only Victor. Okay, at the first instance, just Victor. That's the only name it will return and nothing else. So the new name is Victor, and if you add those variables and those stuffs, it should return actually in let me go back to the top. Okay, mutability have not been added, so I want to be able to mutate this value. So cargo run. So if I do cargo run, it says that new name is Messi. And so this is how mutable parameters works in function. Okay, I hope that really explains it, how mutable functions works. Okay, and we have default function behavior, okay, that returns just an empty tuple. Remember we talked about tuple previously. So what does it look like? So it looks like this: fn do underscore nothing, do underscore nothing, empty, and do underscore nothing. Actually, do nothing. I don't really want you to do anything. And boom, this is how it goes. This is what you're talking about here. It's just an empty stuff. And what we want to do is just to go to our main function. I want to go to our main function and write something random. So what we want to do is this. Just say let total. I just want to name this total equal do something. I'm calling the function here do something, and print ln. This function returns returned returned just nothing actually. Total. So what I'll do is just to save this and close this and do run. So you say that this function returns just an empty stuff. So and this is what we call empty tuple in Rust language. It's just like knocking on a door. Okay, you get no response. Like you're just trying to do something, but you're not getting a response, or pressing a dead button. Maybe you're trying to turn on or turn off a switch that have spoiled, that is not responding to any electricity, and or that is not connected to any electricity. It will not do anything actually. You're just doing something but nothing is coming out. So that's just simply what this thing is doing. Okay, that's basically what it's doing. And this so far will go on function, and as much as possible try to go back through these lessons and pay close attention to it, and try to assimilate it again and explore the more. There are a lot of actual stuff you can do with functions. And as we build projects together, we build a lot of projects in this channel, but we are setting the foundations now. And as we build together, we actually add new concept that we still explain, that I know I didn't explain as we talked about the basics. So do have to go through this course again. Don't assume that you know it, because actually it will take a lot of practice to be able to understand the concept of functions and other lessons we've talked about. See you guys in my next video. Bye. Hi guys, welcome back. I In the video we explicitly talk about for functions, parameters, arguments, and expressions, and we were much more detailed in talking about parameters because it's one of the core ways that you can express ourselves, give expression and manipulate stuff in blockchain technology while using Rust, and that's why it's very, very important to talk about explicitly. And so I hope you actually got value from the video, and if you didn't get value, try as much as possible to watch the video again. I promise you, there is a lot of value for you to actually get from this video. Subscribe to this channel and also turn on the bell notification so that you get alarmed or alerted when I drop videos like this, and also start looking forward for my next for our new episode that we talked about previously, where we said we're talking about developers lifestyle. Look forward to it, and do well to join our Telegram channel. There are job opportunities there, and I just dropped one job opportunity there. I stopped dropping job opportunities because there is actually no subscribers yet there, and this community is actually new. So do well to subscribe and join our Telegram channel. It will be in the comment section below, and do well to join, and I'll see you in the Telegram channel. Stay tuned, guys.